All right, guys, you've made it to day 4 of creating a tight beat faceless channel right on YouTube that we're going to turn into a bigger business. In this video, I promise to cover the content. So let's cover where we are. So we have all the backend systems set so far, leading our Instagram over to our email list and then our automations. Now let's start creating content. So I just recorded a video and it's about vocal mixing. So let's add this into CapCut. And I'm going to show you guys some quick things you could do in CapCut. CapCut is completely free. Let's go to the ratio. Let's go to 9:16 here. Now, we're going to keep my voice because I have to make content, but we're not going to show my face on the camera. So what we're going to do is the boring part is zoom in and hit Control B to do vertical slices. If you have multiple tracks, just hit Control Shift B. So I'm looking for any gaps. I'm not even worried about what's happening in the video because I don't have mannerisms or suggestions. We're just going to cut out the gaps. If we need time, we could always go back and add time. So let's just cut out all these little microscopic gaps. You don't need this for every single editing style, so be careful here. We're just trying to cut it to where it's below 1 minute. Right now it's 1 minute and 8 seconds, which is pretty long. Okay, so sometimes I messed up words. We're just gonna skip the two part and just, okay, so it doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to move fast, I'd recommend. So I'm not gonna give, the top of the notch video editing techniques. Some people recommend that you, similar to how we do punch-ins with music, to do that with the video audio, but we're good on time. We don't need to really overlap audio that much. Okay, so I'm cutting out all these gaps because this will slow down the motion of the video. Okay, so little vocal gaps like this. So we should be good towards the end because I think that's where I played the actual song, so we're good. So we're still at 1 minute and 3 seconds. So let's see if we can cut out any details or words. Okay, and then we can skip that. Cut out that little gap. So all these little milliseconds add up. Okay, we don't need the whole S to ride out, just to this. And we can cut it right there. Okay, we don't need to say first plug in here. We can kind of skip over that. Okay, so it's cutting out the little stuff. So we should be under 1 minute at this point. Okay, so again, when you're moving this fast, you're gonna have words where you stutter. And I'd recommend you guys get rid of the uhs, the ums. Now this one didn't capture. I didn't realize the blue face part was off the screen. So luckily the knobs are on the screen. Now, when I zoom into specific features like the attack, let's go back a little bit and just do this in real time. Okay, so whenever I zoom into a specific feature, we're gonna hit Control B. And all you gotta do is just click here and just go to scale. You don't need to have fancy animations and everything, just zoom in so that they could actually see what's happening. So some details I'm not going over because we have a minute's worth of time. So in this case, we're not gonna show how to find the key of the song. We just don't have enough time to explain that. We don't really need to say the blue face one. We could cut that. So just Rev A, cut that. That will save us some time. Okay, so when I kind of made that jump cut, it's important to zoom in just in case they didn't catch the word and they can slowly recall what I'm actually doing here. Okay, so I'm kind of stumbling through the words because I'm trying to give credit. Okay, there we go. That really doesn't need to be in there. That's more of a courtesy type thing where I'm crediting the actual person. And this happens all the time. You'll run out of time and you don't have time to credit people. So for the sake, luckily we're under a minute, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so when I say streaky, let's pull up a picture. Okay. Okay, so I'm trying to get the beginning of the word. Let's hit Control B. Let's find the picture of streaky in our files. All right, so I downloaded his profile picture. So let's just add that in to add some credit here. And then we got to figure out a place to add text. So you want to think anything in that lower, I'd say quarter of the screen is going to be all the social media stuff, like the username, the plays, the comments. So down here is dead real estate, in my opinion. You want to keep everything above that bottom fourth. So let's just add streaky somewhere around here. We're going to add some text. And then we want a sound effect to signify that something has happened. So let's add this. Let's change the text to something a little cooler. I forget if we can use system text, but let's do enter, which is a nice general text. Let's do enter black. I think this is the best one. Let's just make it bigger. Boom. And what I like to do with the text is add a background to it called the stroke feature. That's going to add a black outline to the text and make it really stand out from whatever's behind it. You could add a shadow to kind of thicken it up, but let's just reduce the opacity so it's not this aggressive shadow. Okay, so now we have that. Now we just need a sound effect. So you guys can look for different sound effects online. I have a whole folder of just like my stuff. Okay, so some people have like whooshes and stuff. I don't use whooshes in my edits, so but you guys can search the webs for sound effects. Okay, let's add this in. It's just a little blip sound. We could do a better job of lining this up. I'm not trying to be a perfectionist here, but it could be a little bit earlier. Okay, and then boom, cut it right at that phrase. Whenever you want to cut multiple things in a row, hit Control Shift B, and that will do a vertical slice on all of the things highlighted. So we can get rid of that. We can get rid of this little piece. And again, we can cut here. Let's zoom in. Make sure people can see the numbers. So at this point, all we got to do is just add the before and after. Really, we don't need to say all the all right, guys, that's eating up time. I'll just cut it where it says take vocals. Also, when I make these cuts, we need to make sure that the actual assets follow the track. Whenever you're not on the main track, you have to manually line stuff back up, which is a little tedious. Okay, so let's line this up. So the only thing that is auto grouped is the text. So that will help us line that back up. Let's go back to the beginning. So when I say this, let's add some kind of animation and then a before and after text. Let's add Control B. Let's add the text here. Now what we could do is copy the text to save all of those features that we've already added, like the text style. Okay, so let's say before. And what I like to do is signal the bad things and the good things with the text color. So let's switch this to a red color to signify that it's the bad, so to speak. Okay, so before. And then we'll do this. And then we're going to copy, hit paste. So CapCut is free. And then we're going to change this to the word after. And it's going to be green. So anything good that we want to reinforce, let's make the color green or lime green. And anything bad, we'll make red. Okay, so we still need to add a little stuff to this. Let's go to where it says, I think it's the effects. I always mix these up. Actually, let's go to where, if we click on the text, go to animation, we want a looped animation so that the text does something as it's just like on the screen to keep people's eyes. Let's try different ones. Let's try this one call. That one's okay. We want to stay away from anything with the diamond because those are paid. Those are the paid things that we don't want to trigger. So this one might be. That works. Simple. Okay, let's do another animation here. Let's do tremble. Okay, and then we want the screen to do something to let people know we're moving into the after. So let's go to where it says transitions, and we want to use something pretty bold here. Something like a flare. I think they have, let's try the glare. Okay, so the transition was too fast, so let's make this longer by just left clicking. I don't know if the clip is long enough. Let's see. So to help the listener understand that we're transitioning, I'm going to look for a whoosh sound in my sound library. All right, so this pack is called Nico Hunt's Sound Design Essentials. Okay, we're going to use what's called a whoosh. Just to quickly let the listener know something's changing, let's add that in. You got to be careful with the volume here because it has a lot of sub frequencies. So let's just pull that volume down about 10 dB or so. So just that little sub just helps the listener. Now it'd be better to group these some type of way so that let's see if we can create a compilation clip here, create compound clip, because I want the transition to be like obvious and it's too fast. So let's do that again, but this time we can use that longer, create duplicate frames, whatever. Let's do this. Okay, so now that transition's longer, it's more obvious. And you can even add emojis to add to the impact here. Okay, so to help the viewer, I don't want to get too granular with all these little details, but we can add more stickers here to kind of circle what's happening. Of course, the paid ones are the good ones. So in this case, you might have to download assets off of Google and just drag them into CapCut. For now, we're just going to use this one and just zoom in so people know what we're looking at. So another thing we want, usually speaking, is background music and captions. That's our last kind of frontier here. So let's go to captions. Now, captions used to be free, and now it's not free, which sucks. So let's go to generate captions, but you have a free trial for the captions. So I'm going to pause the video. So, you know, I could show you guys every little tiny thing, but you have to create your own style. So at this point, we're going to click on a caption, go to where it says captions, and now we can see the words that are said or tracked by the software. So for videos like this, you might want to cut like anytime it has a lot of words, try cutting it in half or into 4. So it says take vocals that sound like this. So we're going to actually cut this into 2 by just finding where we want to split them and just hitting enter. So that will help the listener like digest the words. Now also too, before we start doing all this, let's highlight all the captions. Let's go to where it says text, and we want to format what the text will look like. So it's kind of hard to see it in a frame here. So let's add the stroke effect to add the outside, and then let's add the shadow so that it adds more of a backdrop. But again, pull back the shadow so it's not too aggressive so that people can read the text over the video simply. Okay, so now we have all that. Now, if you want to get really, really, really into it, you can actually click inside the captions and determine which words need certain colors. We might do that for this one. It's just not that dramatic of a video. So let's just click here and go to captions. And one more thing actually before we move it, actually let's do it last, is text animation. So hopefully I remember to add text animation here. Okay, let's go back to the captions. Let's kind of skip ahead to the next. So this is Melodyne. Sometimes you have to correct the text. That's why I kind of stopped using this tool. You have to correct it sometimes. So this is too many words. Okay, okay, let's split that. Going to do, split that is, I'll add the word change. So I split that up into what, 6 parts? Okay, so here, it didn't track the words properly, so we have to manually drag these chops out. This is kind of the tedious part about splitting stuff up. You have to make sure that it's lined up with the actual video, but it's worth the time. Okay, so just make sure these drag all the way through so they don't get truncated. Okay, so luckily we have enough good time on there. Let's drag this. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so anytime I introduce a term, my styles, I'll click on it. I'll go to where it says text and I'll highlight just that word, switch the color to a different color. So in this case, whenever I introduce terms, I introduce the color yellow. And any important subjects, I'll make it yellow. The thing is, if you were to just have one word and you change the color, it will change the color for all of the text. So you got to be careful not to do that. So what we will do is add an arbitrary letter to the right side, then highlight Melodyne, and then change the color, and then take out the extra letter. So that way it doesn't mess with the rest of the text. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so because we made so many jump cuts, the software struggles. So I'm going to split this into two because it's too many words. We want to, and then verb pull back on the vibrato. There we go. So vibrato, that's going to be a keyword. Let's make that yellow. Again, add an arbitrary letter so that the open-ended color doesn't affect the other text. Okay, so I got to highlight the keyword not here because people might not realize that that's a key part. So let's make that red. Okay, so again, it didn't pick up all the words here. So you could just click in the captions and it will pull up the text window. So again, Auto-Tune Pro is a keyword. Let's add an arbitrary letter, change the color of the text to a different color. Delete that last letter. Debating if I want, so key of the song, let's add a letter here. In this case, this isn't really, it is a term, but let's make it green just so that people actually do that step. Okay, this is way too many words on the screen. So let's go to where it says captions. Nextly, we're going to use the 1176 Rev A. This should be a capital. We're going to change this. Let's capitalize some of these words. Attack at 3, release at 7. Okay, so boom. All right, let's go back to make sure it's lined up. So really the word use should be here. Little stuff like this, all right. Okay, so again, we're introducing a term. We're gonna add a letter, go to the text, highlight the term, make it yellow. This is my style. You guys can create your own style, but that's just what I do to make it obvious to the listener what I'm actually trying to teach. Especially if they have the volume turned down. Okay, so a lot of this is off. I manually line it up here. So again, make sure these clips go all the way through the captions. Okay, so this has the wrong name. Okay, I learned this from Street Nikki. Okay, let's click here. Let's go to captions. And I learned this from, then we'll isolate his name. So it used to be good with the auto captions, but it got really sloppy. Actually, we don't need that caption. We already have our own text that pops up. Forgot about that. We already have our own text. So let's make that a color. Let's make his title a color. Let's make it yellow. Okay, again, too many words here. Now, I wish there were some kind of system that does this for you. Turn the input up and then just mess with your output. So usually I'll go through, I'll read it, and I'll just separate it first. Nextly, we have Spectre just to boost up the highs for a brighter sound. And then lastly, space FabFilter. Pro L2. Sometimes there are ghost spaces that you have to get rid of. L2 on all around mode just to pull up the vocal above the beat. So the key is Melodyne before auto tune. And then share with a friend. Peace out, guys. I don't think we need the ending really. Actually, let's keep the ending. Okay. So again, same formula. I'm going to pause the video just to not spend 1,000 years on this. All right, so I've done the the color editing. Now let's highlight the text. What we want to do is add that animation to the text. Now for shorter clips, it may or may not work or be visible. So let's highlight all the captions. Let's go to where it says animation. We're going to do an in animation. And we want to click on where it says pop up that animation. And then we're going to pull the time down to make it very small, like 0.1 seconds. So basically the text should kind of arrive from the bottom of the screen. So let's go to full screen view just to see what we have so far. Okay, so to cover up some of my like nasally tone, we're gonna add a backbeat. Let's open up our music library. All right, so I found the beat that I made on my other computer. Let's drag this in. So I usually use this for a specific series, but for here, we're just gonna use the same beat. I'm gonna zoom in, kind of cut that intro so there's no gap. And then we're just gonna turn this down about either -10 or -20 dB, it just depends. All right, so we need to make sure the beat does not play during the actual playback of the audio. So let's mute that. So I'm going to use it to fill in, to keep rhythm, basically. And then we can kind of fade it out or just kind of let it cut off. Because we don't want to trick the ear with that rhythm, so we got to be careful. So we're going to let the beat play underneath the track. It's very rhythmic based and only bass. So it's not super musical, distracting the listener. Okay, so anytime we have playback, you want to mute the beat. So right here, we want to pinpoint that. Okay, so I think it's I think it's all the way through the end, till the end. And then boom, and then get rid of the in between stuff and then make sure your beat doesn't overlap to make the video render black. Okay, so let's fade the ending and then fade here just so it doesn't abruptly come in. Really simple. Now it's watching in full screen just to triple double check everything. All right, so that is the video, and then we're going to post that to social media. Now, at this point, it's good to tag your videos. We're going to tag this with Game King C so that people know when they go to share with other platforms, they know who actually made it. So let's put Game King C, and because Game King C is our, our account across multiple social medias, we could just use this. So Game King C. Now, what I like to do personally is make the text see-through so that it's not super aggressive on the screen here. Let's pull the opacity back. All right, so very subtle tag. Let's just pull this all the way through. I usually tag the bottom of my videos because, again, that's where the social media stuff is. So people don't even realize there's a tag there. So when they go to rip your video and share it, it's still the tag there. They won't really mind. So I only remove my tag if there's like a video clip from other sources or something that I don't actually own, then I won't tag that. So in this case, we didn't use anybody else's stuff. So from here, we're going to go to export, and it may tell you that you're using features that you didn't even use. In this case, auto caption we did use, but sometimes it tells you that you're extracting audio and you didn't. So for a long time, I thought we couldn't even export our projects, but this is like a sales page. So just skip where it says this and then go to where it's click on where it says try for free. We did use the auto captions, so we got to be cool with that. So try for free, and then it will skip that page. Let's call this Game King C. What's a name we could add? Also, to what I forgot is the meme title. Now we can do this inside of social media, but if you have relevant pictures that you want to use on that first couple frames to get people to actually listen to the video, what we could do is probably just do the before and after. That should be fine. But also too, if you want to create like a thumbnail within the video, you guys could do that by taking the first like 2 seconds and animating images in if you want to. But this video doesn't really have a strong title. We're going to do that inside the social media itself. So let's go to export, try for free, because each platform knows when you're actually using their tools in the editor. Okay, so now this is called this vocal mixing tutorial. We don't need to make it complicated. Before and after, we'll name it inside the social media. So 4K rendering, we want 60 frames per second, MP4, whatever H.264 is, and that's all we need. And then we're going to export this, and it should only take about a couple minutes. All right, so from here, all we got to do is just send this file to the phone and then upload it to Instagram. So what I have to do is remove the webcam to use my phone, and then we'll upload from Instagram from the phone. All right, guys, now we have the phone up. We're virtually using the phone through the new software here. So we're logged into Game King C, the official account. Game King C official is the Instagram. Let's click the plus button. Let's go to Reels. We want to make a reel, and then we have to give them permission. So let's go to Manage, select more. We need to select. I have to type in my password here. So let's select our latest video that I sent to my phone from my computer. Hit done. And then click here, go to next. Take vocals that sound like this. It's crazy we could do this from our computer. That sound like this. All right, so let's click the text. Let's click the text, and here's where we edit the meme title, it's called. So let's maybe say how to get professional vocals easily, or something catchy. So in this case, we'll just say how to get professional vocals, something simple, and then we're going to add that backdrop to it so that it stands out. Usually I use a white backdrop with the black text, and sometimes I'll even add, I don't know if we could do this on the screen. I don't know how to access emojis, but normally I would add an emoji here. But because I don't know how to do that on this app or whatever, let's just do this. So we're going to keep the meme title here for a while. Let's go to Melodyne, and let's go to edit video. And then we want the meme title to disappear once the video kicks off, because it might be blocking key information, but it might not. Let's just see. I think there is key information, and yeah, okay. So we have to get rid of the meme title. So let's only let that last for the first 3 seconds or so. Just got to manually slide this back to about 3 seconds. Okay. Let's just do it until the transition, and that should be enough. tool. We want to pull back on the vibrato. Take vocals that sound like this. How to okay, so the title's kind of vague. How to get professional vocals. Let's just redo this title. And how to, we gotta use the word mix in here some type of way. But now it sounds like we're saying how to mix professional vocals. So we want to somehow communicate there's a before and after, and then how to sound professional, and there involves mixing. So let's, instead of the word how to, let's just say mix your vocals to sound like the pros. Something like that. It's probably a better title out there, but you guys will learn better titles over time. For now, we're just not going to overthink it. Okay. And then boom. So we're going to edit that, make sure that it's still 5 seconds or whatever, 3 seconds. Click the next button. This is others can download and share. Fine. So here's where we put that the caption here. So let's put comment, and I can always change out the keyword, and I'll show you guys how to do this. So I'll put comment vocals to get free vocal templates, which, remember, it leads people to our ManyChat funnel, which leads them to the email funnel, which gives them the free vocals. So this is actually true. So comment the word vocals to get free vocal templates. Now the thing is, I don't have any ManyChat triggers for the word vocal. So we have to manually, as soon as we post this, we're gonna have to go to ManyChat to add that quickly, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So usually I tag Ableton FL Studio vocals, mixing, artist. Now we can use all the keywords: singer, rapper. What else is there? Music producer, mixing. Did we already say that? Mastering. Music producer, rapper, singer, artist. We could use Pro Tools. We can kind of use the other DAWs here. Logic Pro. I'm trying to think of what other keywords are there. Vocals. That's pretty much it. Maybe music or maybe beats might be a little overkill. Let's click here. Let's edit the cover here. And we want to choose a frame from the actual song. So let's do before, because it creates curiosity that there's an after. Let's go to profile. Let's just line this up. I'm actually shocked we could do all this on the computer. Go to done, and let's go to tag people. We're going to tag ourselves, unless you have a company or some kind of brand sponsor you're working with or collaborator. Let's just do ourselves. And we're going to rename the audio. It's how to, I forgot what we said. Mix your vocals to sound like the pros. Boom. Now, if I've thought about it, I don't know if we can go back, but I would even change the meme title to say the secret mixing chain of the pros or something like that. The secret vocal chain. Let me see if we can go back. Okay, we can go back. So I came up with a better hook. Instead of mix your vocals to sound like the pros, it's too vague. Let's put secret vocal chain the pros use. Something like that. That might, I don't know. We got to reword it. Secret vocal chain. Kind of like the all caps. Secret vocal chain. Mix like the pros. There we go. Something like that. Okay, again, over time, you guys can revise the actual thing. Okay, let's hit next. So that's good. We don't have to do a bunch of stuff. And then we want to make sure we're sharing on threads. And the story is a new feature now. It's always add. And if you have a Facebook account, you can also do that here. But because I don't have one, we're going to recommend on Facebook, even though I don't have a Facebook account. And then okay, so that's pretty much all we have to do. Now what we have to do once we hit post is we need to go back into ManyChat to activate the actual keyword vocals and any variations of that. So let's hit next. Yes, we're going to share. Okay, so this is kind of weird because I'm on my computer, but the thing's on my phone. So I don't know how this is even working right now. Okay, so posting to the official account. And then it says posted. Boom. Okay, cool. So I thought it already shared to my story, but if not, let's just share it again. Vocals that sound like this. Okay, boom. Now, I've seen Tai Lopez do a strategy where he adds people to his close friends. I don't know how he does it automatically because he has millions of followers. And somehow I'm on his close friends list. And that way it shows up as a green ring and it shows up before all the other stories. So I don't know how Tai Lopez did it. Maybe he does it manually or something, but that's a new feature that you want to tap into, adding people to the close friends so that it appears before everybody else's story. Again, I don't know the shortcut way to do it outside of just manually adding every follower. Somehow Tai Lopez did it. Okay, so now we have this set up. Let's pause the video and get my cam back up. All right, now we're on the back end of the ManyChat for the GameKing account. Remember, we're still in the free trial for ManyChat, but it is $15 a month, so be careful with this. Let's always keep going to contacts. Make sure you highlight all the contacts, export the PSIDs like I showed you guys in day 2, I think it was, or day 1, and then delete the contacts. So always, whenever you log into ManyChat, that should be the first thing you do. Long story short, let's go to Instagram. We need to go inside of the beat funnel. And let's click inside here. We're going to add the trigger. Let's go to edit. Let's add some triggers here. All right, I got to get all this stuff from the bottom. Let's go to edit. Click on all posts. That's a pro thing. Anyway, click where, okay. Let's go here. My bad. Here's an arrow. And then we can set the words. So here we're going to set vocals. We're going to use different variations of the words. Some people might use emojis because the phone will auto suggest it to them. So let's type in like a microphone, some sort, because people will misspell stuff. And then let's do another microphone. Here's the other microphone. Boom. So we have vocal, vocals, a microphone, and let's even add the word mixing for now. Let's just hit save. So now anybody who comments any of those words, it will trigger this sequence. And let's do the same exact thing for the story reply. Let's type in the word mixing, vocal, vocals, and the microphone emojis. All right, let's save that. And lastly, I don't go live, but let's just make sure we have it covered in the case that we do. Mixing, vocals. So this should be something that you do before you post. It's just we didn't have time and I don't have a big following yet to where people are paying that much attention right now. So let's just save this. And we're not going to do the message trigger because that gets a little messy. So let's turn that off for now. All right. And then that should be everything that we need to make this work. So now from this point, you're just going to go in and you're going to use your other account to practice the trigger to make sure it actually sends people. We've already done the practice trigger, so we don't need to do it. We've done that in part 2 or 3, and it basically follows this flow. Now, what I might say, instead of here's your free beat, let's put thank you, here's your free download. That way it's more vague. So now we can send multiple keywords to the same flow and it still gets the same result, because when they click the Google Drive, it sends them to the general Google Drive, which has a bunch of stuff in it. So instead of free beats, let's type in free download. That way it's not as specific and we don't have to keep building. We don't have to keep building these funnels every single time. So let's just change this to downloads. That way it's more vague. And again, whenever we want to add more trigger words, we could just add the trigger words and it still goes throughout this flow. Okay. So that is how you guys do it. And that's the content editing. That's the content marketing. And at this point, I'm going to post to YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the other platforms on GameKing. So I'm just going to take the time to do that. So thank you guys for watching. And I do the same exact thing per platform. There's no magical sauce per platform. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. It's GameFromBusyWorksBeats.com. Subscribe if you want to follow the journey. Peace.